Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes. Thanks for tuning into the podcast today. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and today I want to ask you a question. What if the reason your marketing isn't working has nothing to do with how much content you're creating and has everything to do with what you're creating and where you're publishing it online? Because here's what I see every single week with the practice owners I work with. Smart, capable, hardworking women doing more than they need to and getting less than they deserve for it. For many of them, it's the difference between a full caseload of clients and staring at an empty calendar. Today, I'm sharing my do this, not that shifts for private practice marketing. 3 simple changes that will help you save time, reduce the overwhelm, and actually make you more consistent so you can grow your practice without burning out. So let's get into it. And we're going to start with what I call the real problem. When I review content from my clients and practice owners that I work with, I see that same pattern over and over again. Someone writes a newsletter, which is great. Then they write a completely separate blog post on a different topic. And then they're out there creating a bunch of Instagram posts on yet another theme. And some of these Instagram posts are so long that they're almost a blog on their own. And they are filling this all in with images and videos they made because someone said, get some reels out there and start posting 3 times a week. And as you build the likes, the clients will follow. Well, by the end of the week, they've essentially run 3 separate mini campaigns for one audience with no connection between any of them. That's double, sometimes even triple the work for no real gain. And what's the ROI on all that time making those reels and doing those posts? Well, if your engagement is only from bots and people scrolling past your fellow colleagues, not one of those people is your next client. And because it's so much work, one of 2 things happens. Either you burn out and stop marketing altogether, or like a lot of people, you keep going, but you're exhausted and you're resentful from all of this content that you're creating that never gets the results that everyone else seems to say is happening for them. And then the inevitable happens. That negative energy comes through in everything they create. Sound familiar? Well, if it does, you truly are not the only one out there feeling this way. But it is fixable. And it doesn't require you to work more hours or create more marketing content. It just requires a different approach. Because most practice owners don't need more. They need better focus on what they use and create for their marketing content and where they publish it online. Let's talk about what that actually looks like, starting with these shifts that I want to share with you. And shift number 1, which is I want you to do this. Create one strong piece of marketing content, not creating multiple pieces of content that all say something different. Instead, you're going to write one solid article, and I call this your anchor content piece because it literally anchors everything else in your marketing. And if you've been listening to the podcast at all for any time, you know that this is a key part of what I teach and how people stop spending so much time doing so much marketing. This one article becomes your blog post. It becomes your newsletter. It becomes your social media post for the next few weeks. One idea, fully used everywhere. You repurpose that one anchor content as the base of your marketing for each cycle of new content. And let me give you an example of how this works. Let's say you write an article about the most common misconception people have before starting therapy. That article goes on your blog, and you're going to tweak it for SEO, search engine optimization, and make sure that it's got a call to action so people know how to reach out to you or get your lead magnet or sign up and book a discovery call. But you're also going to send that same article, again, tweaked a little differently, out on your email marketing system as your newsletter for that week. Then you can start pulling pieces of content out from the same article, 3 or 4 key points, and you can turn those into your social media content for the next 2 or 3 weeks. You're not creating 4 different pieces of content here or even more. You created one and then you repurposed it and used it 4 different ways. That's how you stay consistent with your marketing without burning out. It's the way you can work smarter, not harder, which is exactly what growing a thriving practice is all about. And if you're thinking, okay, Kathy, but I need to see exactly how this works. Well, that's great. I created an MVP marketing guide that I have. It's something that shows you and walks you through this entire system of creating your minimum viable plan for marketing. It takes you through the Anchor content system step by step, and there is a link to it in the show notes, so you can just click on that and download that free marketing guide. Okay? So that is your shift number 1. Shift number 2 is I want you to do this. Publish content where people actually go to find you. Not that, which is spending all of your time on social media posts that aren't driving client bookings. Now, I want you to really think about this question. When you think about your business or your practice, where do your clients actually come from? Most of the people that I work with, practice owners, it's their website, their contact form, their booking calendar. People Google them and land on their site, or they found their information on an insurance panel and clicked through to the website to find them. And from all of these places, they decide whether or not they're going to reach out. But here's what's happening instead with most people that I talk to. Almost everyone who comes to me and asks for my help, or others that are getting stuck in this never-ending cycle of marketing, trying to figure out their marketing, all of them are spending all of their marketing time on social media, posting content, making videos, posting more content. Well, their website just sits there, the place where almost every single person stopped before reaching out. No one is making sure their homepage message actually speaks to the people they want to help. No one is making the booking process very simple and easy to find on the website. And no one is adding blog content to their website that's helping the search engines send more people to. And there's no clear calls to action telling visitors what to do next. Instead of focusing on those things, they're focusing all of their time on social media, which is not where the client bookings come from. And honestly, this is such a common issue. I actually did a whole episode on it in 176, the 7-step website checkup to book more clients. And I will link to that episode in the show notes. But the short version of it is basically this. You need to go through your website and test your booking process exactly the way a client would, because you might be surprised at what you find. Now, to be clear, I also want to make known, I am not saying ditch social media entirely. Social media is a great tool for marketing online, but it needs to get the participation ribbon, not the blue ribbon, when it comes to your marketing. It can warm people up and it can keep you visible, but your website is where the decision gets made. And that's where people go when they are serious and looking to make that decision. They go to social media more often after they know you so they can get to know you better. But when they're initially seeking out someone like you to help them, they're seeking you out online from Google, referrals. Doesn't matter if it's people or an insurance panel. They're all coming to your website. But if you're pouring all of your energy into Instagram and social media and creating all this content over there and you're ignoring your website, You're spending all of your time trying to reach people who are scrolling, and you're missing the people who are already looking for exactly what you offer, even people who might already be on your website. And that is the shift here. You need to put your content where it counts, on your website, on your blog. You need to focus on the places that show up in search and where referral people go to check you out, and get that content to a place where it helps convert those visitors into clients. And that brings me to shift number 3. I want you to do this. Build a simple, repeatable marketing plan. Not that, which is reinventing your marketing every single week. The thing about consistency when it comes to marketing, it doesn't really come from motivation. Your motivation can go up and down all the time. Consistency comes from having a plan that is realistic and easy to follow, one that you can actually get done even on a busy week. Hint, hint, I'm going to let you know right now, if you do not block time in your calendar to do this work, it will always be on your never-ending to-do list. And the system that I teach inside the programs that I offer to practitioners and service providers is the Thrive Marketing Method, using that MVP plan for marketing. So you create that one piece of content, repurpose it into what you need based on the schedule that you set up, and you use that content in the marketing channels, posting it where it's going to actually help lead to traffic, potential consults, and then client bookings. And that's it. Plan, repurpose, publish, and repeat. No more staring at a blank screen all the time trying to figure out what you should post today. No more scrambling with something new to come up with, something else that you need to post today, or even that last minute, oh crap, I forgot to tell people about this sale or a special deal or a special event. You cannot get ahead in marketing by just posting to post. You've got to have the right content in the right places and put it there consistently. And it's a lot simpler to do this and follow something like this in the long run, and so much more effective. A repeatable marketing plan, not a weekly reinvention of marketing content. These 3 shifts will help you out, because the bottom line is, if your marketing is feeling like it's a lot right now, it is usually because you're doing too much of it in too many places and without a clear plan that's connecting all of it. And it is completely fixable without adding more time to your already busy week. And I want to say this to you directly, especially if marketing has been feeling like a heavy weight on your shoulders. If you have been over creating on social media and underusing your website, you are not the only one out there doing it. I'm telling you right now, almost every time I review a new website or work with a new client, it is something that I see and I find. Because the world of marketing out there and the idea that there's an easy button for everybody to follow, it makes it seem like it's very simple to do. And it can be when you have a good plan to follow. But it's that scattered and random marketing. That approach will never, ever get you anywhere but frustration and exhaustion. Now that you recognize what's really going on, here's where you start. Number 1, follow these 3 shifts, the do this, not that shifts. Stop creating multiple pieces of content on different topics every week. Choose one idea and build everything from that single anchor piece. And audit where you're spending your marketing time. If your website isn't working as hard as your Instagram, shift your focus. That's where your next client is going to go before they book with you. The third thing I want you to think about is building a simple MVP marketing plan, your minimum viable plan. Set a schedule. Create one anchor piece for every cycle in the schedule, repurpose it, and publish it online consistently. Stop reinventing all of your marketing content all the time. And that free guide on the MVP plan is waiting for you in the link in the show notes. You can grab it there. And start with the anchor content section in there, because if you haven't heard of this concept yet, that is where you want to begin. It is the system that I literally just walked you through, laid out step by step, so you can start using it in your own practice right away. Those 3 shifts will make a huge change in your private practice growth. And they are not a huge deal to make happen. Step by step, you can do it. I know you can. This is Kathy Colaiacovo signing off. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And remember, to thrive in practice or business means doing less marketing, but more effectively. Please stop that cycle of overcreating and instead be consistent with the right content in the right places with a simple plan that actually works. That, my friend, is your path to more clients without the burnout. I'll see you next time. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.